to another Sunday morning conversation, everyone. Today, my guest is Portuguese pro triathlete Pedro Gomes. So he was the first Portuguese triathlete to win an Ironman event. Triathlon isn't really a big sport in Portugal. That's part of the reason why he came over to the United States. He's based out of Tucson now. It's really easy for him to race on the pro circuit in the U.S. I got about 10 questions for him. Stick around and enjoy, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Can you hear me?
Oi, how's it going, man?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. Just give me 1 second. Just need to send in a message. How did you get my contact?
You showed up on people like I should add as friends on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
So that's the thing,
okay.
right? When you know a lot of people in triathlons, they're all interconnected. And then, because the way searching works, it just starts throwing in pros, everybody you know.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so how do you want to do this? You just record the session?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
So, yeah, I mean, I went through your everything I could find on you, and I've known you've been doing this for a long time now. You've been a pro 15 years, and it was about 2010 that you stepped up to the Ironman distance.
Yeah, so I was basically part of the National Training Center for quite a while. So I was racing ITU and short course, and then I didn't make the Olympic team, and that's kind of how I moved into long distance. And this was 2010. I think my first Ironman was 2010, so quite a while ago.
So, I mean, this is now 11 seasons. If you subtract one from 2020, what are some of the major things you've learned in full distance racing in that time?
Is this part of the interview?
Yeah.
Okay. Honestly, when I compare it to short course or just in general?
I guess just in general. I mean, because short course it's uncomparable because it's just such a completely different style of racing.
Right. Okay, so things that I've learned. One is that it's a very long day. It's really hard to hide or fake training that you have not done. So Ironman really exposes unprepared athletes. When in short course, you're very much relying, obviously, athletes that are not well trained for the distance do get exposed, but it's a lot easier to prepare for short course distance because obviously they're short, and by the time durability comes to play, you're probably already done with the race. Ironman really exposes you if you have not done the necessary training for Ironman. You'll definitely not have a great experience. The other thing that I've learned, not just from Ironman, but for most of the endurance challenges that I've done quite a few of like cycling events, very long trail runs, and anything that goes over 4 and 5 hours. Fueling plays a massive role on your performance. You just can't go by on these long events without fueling properly. And when I say fueling, I'm obviously talking about hydration and gels and bars and so on. Your body just can't store enough energy to go for more than 2-3 hours without needing actual refuel. So fueling plays a big part of it. Durability and endurance is something that you have to build over years of training. And if you go unprepared to a full distance Ironman or even a 70.3, you basically get exposed of how much training you have not done. The good things that I've learned is also that you will never have a perfect race. You will always seek a perfect race, and you kind of have to accept that you're never going to have a perfect race. Although you can get close to it, you'll never have a perfect race. There's so many variables, especially on Ironman. You're out there for so long that so many things can happen over the course of a day that you'll never have a perfect event. So those are the main things that I've learned as an athlete, as a professional athlete. Obviously, I've learned small things such as the more you put into the work, into your training, the better the results are. I mean, you can always do more and more smart training into your next race. And also that there's always room to improve. I don't think anyone has, even the guys that are going 7:30 and 7:40 over the course of Ironman. I'm pretty sure no one has maximized what we can do as athletes in training. That is happening in triathlon. I don't think. I think even in I think there's a ceiling of how much you can do and everything you can do. And as we get closer to that ceiling, obviously the differences between the first and second place become smaller and smaller in terms of the level of detail they put into their training. I think we're getting close to that ceiling in triathlon. I think we're still far comparing to cycling, running, other endurance sports. But we're getting close. But because again, there's so many variables, we still have a lot to learn. All of us as athletes racing.
So I've seen you've done Ironman Florida 4 times. Is that a personal favorite course for you?
It's not really. I don't actually. I'm a smaller athlete, so I usually compete under 140 pounds, and I'm
Oh,
only
wow.
I'm only 5'8", so I'm can't, like, my build is very tiny compared to some of the other guys out there. So Florida, because it's such a flat course, doesn't really benefit my characteristics as an athlete. It's a very flat course, so it allows the bigger people to not suffer as much with gravity. But Florida, because I've done it, I think I've done it 6 times. At least I've started 6 or 5. Anyways, I've done it quite a few times. It's all about the timing. The timing of Florida, it's always perfect. It's always the perfect race for me to end the season. Usually it's either Florida or Arizona. I've actually done both on the same year quite a few times. But Arizona for the past few years has not been a pro race, not male pro, only female pro. So I always go to Florida because timing is good. The weather in Florida is actually perfect for performance. It's usually in the low 50s. It's a flat course. The swim is slow, but everything else is very fast. And it's just a easy race to get to as well. Even though I live in Phoenix and the race is on the other side of the states, I usually can get an easy flight, like with one short layover in Charlotte or something. But accommodations are easy. I always have people racing, either my athletes or someone that I know. So I always have people to go out for lunch or a few rides before the event. So I always have fun when I go to Panama City Beach. In terms of preference of course, I don't even like that course. I just go because everything else is great.
Okay. So this is I saw on your records you did Rev 3 Cedar Point in 2011. That's 10
wow.
years ago. I don't know
Yeah.
how much you actually remember about that. I did it in one of its last years. I think 2016 was the last year. I did it in 2015.
Okay.
I personally liked it, but I'm from Ohio. And I was wondering if you thought this is a race that needs to come back now that Rev 3 has made a kind of a comeback and they've started their pro event again.
Mm-hmm. You know what I remember from that race is actually Cedar Point. I remember the team park. That's it. I do remember it was hilly. I don't remember exactly the race venue because often confuse Cedar Point with Quasi Rev 3 Quasi because they have the team park nearby, and I always confuse. I have mixed memories from both. I do remember for some reason that the course in Cedar Point was quite hilly on the bike. Is that true? I don't remember.
Um, no, I think that's Quasi you're thinking of because at Cedar
Uh,
Point,
see, there you go.
you have the Allegheny Plateau that drops off at Cleveland, and this is further west. So it's more flat-ish.
Okay.
The swim was
Uh,
slow though.
yeah, I don't remember that event. I remember the competitors that were there. I think Jim Vance was still racing as a pro, and I think Chris McDonald was also still racing as a pro. And that's the thing that I remember. The competition, some of the guys that I raced with. Um, I remember the team park. I remember the team park being
Did you
here.
go?
Yeah, yeah, the day after.
It's the roller
Uh,
coaster capital of the world.
yes, and it had that really tall roller coaster.
Millennium Force.
Yeah, one that's really tall, and I remember that because the view from the top was quite unforgettable. But in terms of whether or not should it come back, I welcome every opportunity that I can to race, and if it's a non-branded Ironman event, I think it's definitely worth it to have it back. Obviously, it I'm not the one that's gonna be the one that only me supporting the event. Obviously, I wanted to come back because it's one more opportunity to come back, but it's not just up to me. Everyone else has to be willing to race a non-branded Ironman, and I know it's not always easy for people in general to race a race that's not branded with a M dot. So yeah, I wish it would come back. But yeah, hopefully it does come back.
Now, 2012 Ironman New York City. I've heard TJ Tollickson's viewpoint on that race and how and what he thought. What did you think of that day?
Logistically, a nightmare. I remember that race really well because first time ever, last time ever. I don't think they'll ever organize another race in New York City just because the logistics was incredibly hard. The expo was in one place, the transition one was in second place. Transition 1 and 2 were on the same place, but swim start, what you had to take a ferry to swim start. You had to take 2 ferries just to get to the first transition in the morning. And the one thing that I clearly remember is usually when you wake up for an Ironman, you wake up 3 hours before and you have breakfast. For this race, I had to wake up 5 hours before and I had to have breakfast inside the ferry at 3 hours before. So 3 hours before the race start, I was already 2 hours into my day into the ferry and already having breakfast as I tried to get to transition 1. Other than that, the swim was fun because it was so fast. Yeah, I think I swam 30 something minutes, which and I think that the Luke Bell was first out of the water and he swam like 34 or something. It was an interesting experience because you swim in the Hudson. And I do remember giving out an interview that became very famous at the time because I said that the interview asked me what did I thought about swimming in the Hudson, and I thought, well, I was expecting dead bodies and I didn't find it. So that was an interesting interview. And then the bike course was on the other side of the George W. Washington Bridge. So it was an eventful bike course, and then you did run into Manhattan, and you did have stairs on a marathon, which was the first for me. So in terms of logistics and courses, just a nightmare. The bike, obviously, the swim was super fast, but the bike was rolling a highway. I remember it being good, the pavement being good, but then the run with going into town and having stairs to go over, that was just not pleasant. And I remember that day to be super humid. It was just a day when everyone crumbled, and I think Jordan Rapp won that race. And I think he was the only one that didn't completely crumble on that race. It's unfortunate because if there is a race that could be a trademark in the circuit, would be something like New York City. But logistically, it was just a nightmare to have to take the ferries everywhere, and basically you couldn't really drive between the locations because the ferry would take you what 30 or 40 minutes to get there. To do the same route on the car would be like an hour and 30 minutes, just because traffic is just so hard in the city. So I don't have the best memories in terms of logistics and the course itself. I do have good memories from the day before and the day after, because I actually stayed in Times Square on our hotel really close to Times Square, and the finish was not that far from Times Square, so you were relatively close to everything that people go to New York for. So yeah, that was an interesting experience for sure.
So, and I saw that you're the only Portuguese athlete to win an Ironman. How do you feel about that?
Well, that was all obviously a culmination of 10 years of work. Basically, I to date, there's another Portuguese athlete that has won a 70.3, but to win a full distance Ironman, there hasn't been any other pro that has won an official Ironman event. So that's obviously something that I'm very proud of. And at the time, I didn't really think about being the only Portuguese that has won an Ironman. That's not really important to me. For me, it was just a validation of the previous 10 years of work, basically. 10 years of just being committed to the sport and looking at Ironman on television. And then at the end of the day, I won that race. And it was quite an important moment in my career, because it also opened up other doors in terms of sponsorships, exposure, and so on. Um, but it was just I still look back at it as probably one of the peak moments of my career as an athlete. I think I've had better performances after that at other races, but that was just a validation of the path that I had chosen as a professional athlete. Basically, I think everyone that becomes a pro athlete kind of goes through the imposter syndrome, where you don't really feel like you belong in the field. And that was the first time on that race that I realized, okay, I've won a full distance Ironman, and now I belong into the field of a professional field in Ironman. So it helped me in terms of career, personal level, mental level. It also had a down effect, which was it brought a lot more pressure into my performances beyond from then on, because all of a sudden I'm being called to press conferences and people want to actually hear what I have to say. So for me, that brought some pressure out, external pressure. Obviously, a lot of it was self-imposed because obviously once you win one, you want to win another. So after that race, I did feel like I had more pressure to perform. So not everything was good. Most of it was good. So yeah, I mean, that was obviously first. I still wish to win another one. I still have 3, 4 more years to go.
Yeah. And I saw you've had the fastest run split a few times in some of your races. What does that feel like at the end of the day when you found out that you have the fastest run split?
I don't think anyone really thinks about that during the race. Obviously, we're all trying not to slow down. It's not about who runs fastest, it's who doesn't slow down, who slows down the less. So I think it's at the end of the day, I don't really think about that. But obviously, I know that my run off the bike is always a strength. Not because I underbike or I save it for the run. It's just that naturally and the type of training I do is very much focused on the specificity of running off the bike. So running with tired legs. And I think that's where people don't realize where their training plan or their run training plan has to be different from a normal runner's training plan. You're in triathlon, you're preparing yourself to run with tired legs after 5 hours of exercise. Whereas when you think of a pure runner, you think that he has to run fast on fresh legs. It's a different type of training. So our training is a lot more focused, as triathletes. Um, our training is a lot more focused on strength and economy of movement, while as a pure runner is more focused on leg speed versus anything else because they need the speed. So all my training is focused on running well off the bike. I've worked with KT2 for the past 10 years now, and they do apply a protocol that's very focused on running off the bike. So yeah, I mean, again, it's just a validation of the work that I've been doing, that it's the right work, and just tells me that I'm on the right path in terms of what should I do in training. It's just, at the end of the day, it's just a validation of what I do daily. I did post something about today on Instagram, that I say that to do the things that I love, I have to spend a lot of time doing the things that I don't really enjoy that much, or probably not feeling like it on that particular day. And it's true. It just, to do, obviously, to run well off the bike and to finish the day with the best run split, it's it's the things that I really enjoy and give me pleasure. But for the vast majority of time, I'm actually doing runs that I really don't feel like off the bike in training. So it's all about balance, I guess.
So you said 3, 4 years till you're gonna retire. What's next
Yep.
after that? Like you're gonna kind of work with your PG Tri Squad some more, or
Uh, yeah, I mean, I want to be involved in triathlon. Obviously, my background is computer science, and there's always an escape route through being on a desk working on a computer. That's not something that I've been looking forward to at all. So I do want to stay involved in triathlon. Obviously, I do have my squad here in Phoenix. We're 26 athletes strong, and we do have group sessions and a good environment in the squad here in Phoenix. And I do want to do more of that. I do really enjoy organizing training camps, organizing training sessions. I like to be involved into triathlon. I have Lately, I've been going to races where I've not even been an athlete. I'm just there to support, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy waking up and not having that pressure to perform. Just waking up, doing my coffee, going through the transition, and just supporting others. I really enjoy it. So yeah, I guess that's where I see my career going. Um, I don't see myself stopping triathlon completely. I'll still exercise, just not, for instance, today I went to ride my bike at 4:30 a.m. Like when I retire, I don't have to go at 4:30 a.m. I can go at 11 a.m. because I went at 4:30 a.m. because there's a group ride that I want to join and I know they're gonna push me. If I don't have to perform, I just go at 11 at my own pace. No pressure on what I do in training. So I'll still be an athlete, probably just not to a level where I probably fit in a pro field. But I don't plan on stepping down in racing age group. As long as I keep renewing my pro card, I'll continue to race pro uh, for how many years I still have left. But yeah, coaching will be the probably my next career.
Yeah, because being in a desk kind of sucks. I've been there.
It does.
It's definitely a buzzkill compared to like it's like being a caged animal again, right? You know, you get
Yep.
to, you're lying out on the, the savannah and you're running around, and then, at the end of the day, they stick you in a cage. It's like, this sucks. So,
I've thought about it quite often, and the big difference, the big benefit of having a 9 to 5 job, Monday to Friday, is that you do have the weekend, and you do have or most people have the weekend to just relax and not think about it. And as a coach, as an athlete, I've not had a vacation, like a day where I say, I'm not going to look at my emails or I'm not going to reply to any text. I don't even remember when, but I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind being that engaged to work, which for me is not work. It's something that I do with great pleasure. So, I mean, as long as you do what you love, I mean, I guess that's a win-win situation.
so what's it like having an in-house chef? Do you
Oh,
recommend one for everybody?
yeah, yeah, she's really good. Having a in-house chef is particularly convenient when you're coming out of training sessions and you need to have food to eat up. But above all, I think your spouse has to be your biggest supporter. I guess that she's not just my in-house chef. She's the one that takes on all the stress that comes out of triathlon, and there is a lot. And usually your spouse or your partner ends up being the person that gets the worst out of you, because when you talk to someone else outside of your household, you usually put your straight face, smile, and try to be pleasant. Your wife and your spouse usually are the ones that are there when you're hitting rock bottom. So I don't see her as just my in-house chef. I just see her as my support, or safe place to come cry when my races don't go well. But it's convenient because she's also a pastry chef. And that's very convenient when I'm in off season or going through a holiday season where I don't have to go buy anything. Everything is made in the house. So that's convenient.
She's an American, right?
Now she's Portuguese.
Are you guys going to stay in the States after you're done, or are you going to go back to Portugal?
That's a very good question.
Because, we have healthcare issues in this country. It's
Oh, I
better
know.
over there.
Oh, I know. I don't think I would go back to Portugal right away. I think for as long as I can stay away from Portugal, I love Portugal. I love visiting. Obviously, I have friends and family in Portugal. I don't plan on going back just because what I do as a coach, what I do as an athlete, it's not the lifestyle in Portugal. Triathlon is not seen as a professional sport in Portugal. There's not a lot of obviously there's more now that we have an Ironman Portugal, but there's not the amount or of athletes that we have here in the US. And while I do like Portugal and I like visiting, it's for the past say 8 years, no, 6 years, has not been my home. My home has been kind of on the road, and if I do go back to Portugal and if I eventually settle, I don't think I'll go out again. And there's so many places I still want to explore before going back home, and just stay there. Um, we There's really no plans to go to Portugal right away. As long as I can continue to race and coach outside of the Portugal, I'll probably try to do that. If I go back to Portugal, it'll probably be after I am done with racing, because obviously the circuit is all in North America. It's easier to get to races around here. It's easier to get sponsorships around here. Yeah, everything is just easier in the US for a triathlete. But yeah, eventually I'll go back to Portugal. I just don't know when.
So last question I got for you. So 2021 was kind of like the rebound year after 2020. And
Yep.
for people like me, I kind of had a change. Like, I don't know if I kind of lost that drive or that motivation, but it wasn't the same coming back this year as it was pre-COVID, like my 2019 season.
Mhm.
And I don't know exactly what happened. And I don't know how many other people were like me that don't have that drive or motivation, but it showed up in my results this year to where I was like in a 70.3, I was 20 to 30 minutes slower. So,
Slower.
yeah. So for people like me who were coming off that weird situation that 2020 created, what would you give for advice to light that fire under their ass to really get back into the sport again? Or do you think maybe the love is lost?
I don't think the love is lost. I do understand. Were you training during the pandemic at all?
You know what? I was training like it,
Just not motivated?
no, like it. I was training like nothing was gonna. The
Open
first
up?
day of lockdown, like when they closed the gym at my pool, uh, I'm like, this is gonna be bad, and it's like my
Yeah.
brain started to just shut down from there. So it went from mid March to mid August or to mid April. I started to slide, and then I just started like I knew we were gonna be in for a long haul, so I just started focusing on other stuff.
Hmm.
Since I didn't have any races, I'm very much a carrot on a stick kind of guy.
Okay.
And if I don't have something to work towards, I don't really want to work.
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. I was not expecting that one. I think that what the pandemic brought was we had to find why we do triathlon. We most think we do triathlon to race, and I think people that did triathlon just to race suffered a lot because we didn't have races. The pools were closed. I actually saw it as I really love the sport. I love the lifestyle. It keeps me healthy. It keeps me I get challenged daily, and that's what I love about triathlon. So I had to remember, why do I do triathlon? And it was not when we first start. I mean, most of the athletes that start triathlon, they don't start as I want to be competitive at a race. They probably start for weight loss purposes, to just be healthy, to just be outdoors. And I think the pandemic brought that. You had to remember why you do the sport. And if it was for racing, you probably are not doing this for the right reasons. I think you should, above all, think of a sport as a way to get out there, relieve some stress, be healthy. Some just obviously, I don't like to associate the sport with weight loss, but reality is that people start running and cycling because they want to lose weight, they want to be healthy. So yeah, you can associate. You shouldn't, but you can. associate triathlon to weight loss. And what I found is that during the pandemic, for me, it was just an opportunity. I just saw it as an opportunity to be better, because it was the first year that I had an interrupted year where I could do all the blocks of training that I needed to do without diluting it with races in the middle. And we didn't have any other opportunity to do that. Usually we have a bunch of races in the mix that kind of dilute the training plan. And for me, it was just an opportunity to do that. Obviously, it's not easy to do that when the pools are closed or the gym is closed. But I mean, in triathlon, it's three sports. You basically, when you can't do one, you do the other two. When you can't do two, you do the one that you can do, if you can. But there's always something that you can look forward to improve in triathlon. Now, for people that didn't see the pandemic here the same way that I did, I think it's just don't rush into it. Just try to take it one day at a time. I would strongly encourage you to just sign in for races, because that puts a added pressure to have to actually train. If you have a race in the calendar which you paid $700 or $900 for it, you're actually going to train for it, because you're not going to waste $900. That's basically the best motivation to get you out of the couch. Sign in for something that's really challenging, and you have to be out there training. And remember, every day, put it on the fridge that you have that race in coming in 3 or 4 months.
Post my receipt on there with a magnet.
Yep. Put your receipt on with a magnet and look at it every day, how much you paid for it. So you better get out there and exercise. But just take it day by day. I mean, obviously, one thing people tend to forget is that there is muscle memory. You don't lose all the training you've done. If you stop for a year, you don't lose all the training you've done until that stopped year. It does take a while to come back, but if you're motivated and if you just push yourself out the door it takes, I think, 20 days to develop a routine. You just have to push yourself out the door for 20 days. Then it becomes a routine. Then you become to feel better. You feel mentally more sane. You feel like body composition improves. Even if you're not losing weight, you see like muscles get more defined. You look at the mirror and you see, oh, this arm looks a little better. So just push yourself out the door for 20 days. Don't skip a day. And then that becomes a habit. And we're animals of habit. We just do things that we develop a pattern to do. And if we develop that pattern for 21 days, it just becomes easier and better. And then sign in for races, get your ass kicked. I don't know if you're supposed to say ass.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Just put a peep in it. Just get your ass kicked a couple of times, and then you realize maybe I should actually put more effort into training. That helps. If you don't have a coach, I think a coach does hold you accountable. I'm not trying to self-advertise, but I think you do need a coach that provides that accountability. Because if you're on your own, it's a lot easier to skip training. If you do have a coach that pushes you to do better and to just get outdoors and actually do the training sessions, that helps. Having some accountability. You may fire him if he's not good later on, but just have him on this initial return into training until you develop the discipline, because no one develops the discipline and commitment triathlon requires overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. So you have to push yourself out the door 20 days in a row. That'll help.
Good advice. Well, thanks again, Pedro, for meeting with me today. I appreciate it.
Of course. Are you going to post this on YouTube eventually?
Yeah, next couple of weeks or so.
Okay. Thank you for having me, Eric. I hope to talk to you soon in Ohio, Cedar Point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're going to make the Ohio 70.3 on the pro circuit eventually, but they moved it from down by Columbus up to Sandusky again. So it's right in the
Okay.
town that Cedar Point is.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go. Is that where you're from?
I'm from Youngstown, Ohio, which is kind of like on the Pennsylvania border. Straight line between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. It's in the middle.
Okay. So snow up there where you live now?
Yeah.
Sorry.
We get that lake effect snow off of the Great Lakes. So
Okay.
yeah, where they can, within a couple of hours, you can get like 3 feet of snow. So
Yeah, that's not pleasant.
no, that's why I live in Atlanta now, where I hardly ever see snow.
There you go. Okay. Thank you for having me, Eric.
Yep. Enjoy and have a good season this year.
Thank you. Talk soon.